Hello and welcome once again to the Brink, and kia ora from New Zealand for episode 3 of the rebooted return of the show. And we welcome your company from wherever you are listening, right across Australia, New Zealand, the world, and Sudan. I noticed actually looking at our listeners from episode 2, we had a Sudanese listener apparently, so didn't even realise I had the internet in Sudan, so it's obviously getting improved there. But I am speaking to you right now in a car. They have them in New Zealand now. It's quite modern and new, and we are on the road driving back to the beautiful city of Hamilton. I say we because I'm not actually driving and talking because that is illegal, but the person who is driving this car is a man who you might know from such shows as Survivor Oz. I do of course speak of the one, the only Mr. Nook Chester. Nick, welcome to the Brink.
Thank you, Ben. It's nice to be here.
Now can I get you to say the title of our show?
The Brink.
The Brunk?
The Brink.
The Brunk, yes.
I'm affecting it just so, to give you a laugh. It's actually not that bad.
No, it's not. It's not really that bad. But we've been travelling around your beautiful country. We were at least in North Island today, and been here for about 24 hours at the time of recording. Went to Rotorua today. We went luging and up a gondola, and went to some mud volcanoes, and it smelled like arse, but it was actually sulphur. But you're almost being a bit of a tourist yourself today because you've never been to some of these places as well, have you?
Yeah, no, it's the first time for me going to visit a couple of places. Given that I lived in Rotorua for 18 years, it's taken me a while to get there, but yeah, it was quite cool to check it out, and I'd recommend it to other people. It's
a very interesting place actually for Tasmanians who have never been here. It's very similar, very green, very hilly. It reminds me a lot of home, but it's my first time I've actually been to New Zealand and not just visited the airport. So again, learning a lot, and doesn't make it too hard for Australians to bag the crap out of New Zealand when you walk through the Auckland airport and within 5 minutes you're hearing a sheep baa sound. And today I can say, with the thanks to Nick, we entered a sheep today, didn't we?
Yeah, technically you're correct. Technically you are correct, yes.
Now when I say that, it was actually a building. We didn't just go and do the New Zealand thing of having sex with the sheep. Well, not yet. We haven't done that yet.
No, that's on the list for tomorrow.
Yes. But what was that town called? I forget these places where we entered the giant sheep.
So that was Tirau. So it's a little town on State Highway 1, which runs the length of the country.
Right, and I just can see a sign as we drive past it that says the number 1. But no, Nick has been a great tour guide. We're experiencing a lot of places, and throughout this episode we will hear a variety of different experiences, and we'll probably bring you 2 episodes this week, just not only as a catch up from last week, considering that I didn't have a voice for most of last week, so it was a bit delayed, but probably because I want to experience a fair bit of what we're going to be doing this week and bringing it to you and all that sort of jazz. We'll obviously this episode bring you other segments. We'll do another Wow, That Is New segment and another flashback segment, and hopefully none of our former guests will die this week, so we won't have to do a tribute like we have the last couple of episodes. No disrespect to Max Walker or Tim Franklin, of course, but 14 kilometres or Hamilton and only 149 k's to Auckland at the moment. We go to Auckland if you want to go there today.
Yeah, well, New Zealand's a small place, it's not like Aussie where you drive 15 hours to get anywhere.
Right, exactly. But looking forward to bringing you some exciting stuff, and including actually one thing I wanted to touch on here really quickly, and we might do this sort of a running thing throughout these episodes in New Zealand. Went to a shop today and happened to pick up a book called Favourite New Zealand Jokes About Australians by Katrina Power. Now, is this a thing that I'm missing? Like, we like to bag out New Zealanders, but do New Zealanders secretly get off on ripping shit into Aussies?
Well, yes. It's a kind of, big brother, little brother relationship, it's like the American-Canada thing, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. We just take the piss out of the words you use for things. So, for example, what you would call a thong, we would call a jandal. And a thong to us is underwear. Like that's like a G-string basically.
That's the Americanized version of it, pretty much. Is
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's funny, in purchasing this book and in purchasing at the same time a pen with sheep on it, it cost me $16.60, which again, it's quite interesting to hear that. I've been well behaved in my accent ripping shit into, haven't I, Nick, so far?
I'd probably give you a minor pass, I suppose. Yeah.
A minor pass, yeah. All right. I'm trying to find a good joke here. Let's read you a joke here from the book Favourite New Zealand Jokes About Australians. How can you tell when an Aussie's been in your freezer? There are love bites on the leg of lamb. Isn't that a New Zealand thing?
No comment.
Okay. Alright, I hope these are actually funny. A little Aussie boy got lost at a circus, so went up to the policeman and said, "I've lost my dad." "Have you, mate?" said the policeman. "What's he like?" "Beer and women," said the boy.
Yeah, no.
This is kind of shit, isn't it? How can you tell if a stepladder is made in Australia? It has a sign at the top saying, "Stop here." So is this like, do New Zealanders think Australians are dumb?
That would seem to be the running theme here, right?
Apparently. Then we drink a lot. Actually, when having said that, when we went luging, the guy did ask, "Oh, where are you from?" And Australia. "Oh, there's a pub down the bottom for you." So, again, are we just alcoholic, drunkens to New Zealanders?
Apparently so, yeah.
And I was wearing my old Survivor Oz shirt into a New Zealand version of Woolworths called Countdown, and had an Australian flag on it, and I got sort of a comment in the shop. Did you hear about the Aussie who wanted to be buried at sea? 6 of his mates drowned trying to dig a hole.
Yeah. I think we're getting to the crux of this, aren't we? That Kiwis think Aussies are dumb.
Wow, okay then. So we clearly, I didn't know this was a thing. Oh, this one's mean. What's the smallest room in Australia? The Australian Hall of Fame. Now, come on.
That's quite good.
That's racist. I'm discovering something about New Zealanders here. All right, well, we'll read from some of those throughout this episode and other episodes.
We can do some research first and find the funny ones and then read them.
Well, that's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would think we would do that beforehand, because this isn't live and we could edit and go back and do this. But if you've ever listened to any of my shows or other shows that I've been involved in, generally we get lazy and just do whatever the hell we want. I mean, you listen to a lot of podcasts now. You're used to listening to good podcasts, so you're probably glad that you're no longer involved in Survivor. You're like, "Oh God, that was shit."
Well, I think editing's for losers. That's for people with too much time on their hands,
Exactly. Who has time to edit when you can go and see mud volcanoes and buy books about jokes on Australia? So, yes, the Brink in New Zealand. I feel like I need Nick to say that for me.
The Brink in New Zealand.
Thank you very much. One thing that is very well known when it comes to Australia and New Zealand is that we sort of don't like each other, even though I think we do like each other, but it's more of, I guess, a sibling rivalry, or I guess as they would say over here, a sibling rivalry. And I guess it's kind of a fascinating thing to be over here and experience a few different opinions from New Zealanders, particularly the book, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, which I don't have any jokes on me right now. But Nick, what do you feel is the general perception of Australians over here? I mean, you've obviously been to Australia a few times, so you've kind of experienced the other way, but when it comes to over here and you talk about Australians, what generally do New Zealanders think?
Well, I guess probably what we think of as Aussies as being kind of a bit arrogant. They think they're better than us. That joke book was kind of weird because it was kind of talking about us, you guys, as being like dumb, and I'm not sure that's the impression. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the general impression, and I think we just like to make fun of each other's accents. I mean, that's just a pretty standard thing. But I mean, we always take a lot of pride in beating you guys at sports and stuff like that. I mean, that's an obvious thing.
When does that happen, Nick?
It does happen sometimes. It happens in rugby, but it should happen in rugby because that's like our national sport, and when we lose that, that's not good. But we've gone toe to toe with you in cricket recently. We haven't been too far behind the ball, and the Olympic table was probably closer than the Aussies expected it to be this time around. So yeah, we have our moments, not as many as we'd like, but I guess if you're putting everything into like per capita basis, we do alright.
So with the accents, it's easy for us to take the piss when it comes to New Zealand accents. But so is that a thing over here? So do New Zealanders like to? What are words that New Zealanders like to mock Australians for saying?
Well, I think in terms of words, like you give me a hard time for saying like six as in sucks. Yeah. Yep. Whereas we hear it, you guys saying sex. So that always cracks us up. But I think it's just like, I always remember watching Aussie TV and there being an Aussie policeman, and that always cracked me up. So I think it's just the kind of sometimes the way it's said, but even it's like, those colloquialisms as well, what you call thongs, we call jandals. and thongs are G-strings to us and that kind of thing, so it's just those weird things.
What do I learn before? You called what we would call a shack, you call a batch?
Yeah, we call it a batch, which is kind of like based on that's where a bachelor would live in, kind of like a rundown kind of shack or whatever.
Like a bachelor pad?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So it's become like, you've got a batch at, whatever beach it might be, yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't realise that was a thing that New Zealanders talked about our accents, because obviously, as you have learnt a lot on Survivor Oz and throughout many times in us talking, is we do like to mock your accents. But I've noticed a lot. It's weird over here, like just hearing people talk and just hearing it. It's like I always thought that not all New Zealanders really kind of had that accent. It was kind of like a lot of them sounded Aussie but said a few words differently. But I don't know, I think it really stands out over here that so many people sound like you.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So, and I notice the same thing when I go to Aussie. I mean, you really notice it. I think probably too, one of the things that we as Kiwis notice is that it always feels like a lot of Aussies, like if we're in Australia, that Aussies talk a lot louder than us. That might just be a perception, but that does seem like something that a lot of Kiwis pick up on when they go over there as well.
Well, and we also, I know in going to America, we get said we talk very fast. I don't know if that's a New Zealand thing too, but apparently Australians talk very fast.
Yeah, I think that is too for us. Like, we do talk quite quickly. So Americans don't talk quickly.
Well, I think they just like to take their time to understand it, because they don't understand our accents, when we're just speaking perfectly normal English, and closer English, I guess, to actual English than American English, which they kind of butcher the language. So
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Shouldn't really be bagging the Americans out too much, considering I'll be there in a week, and a lot of them might be listening. I'm discovering New Zealand products as well, so obviously L&P, which we talked a lot about Survivor Oz. We went today to the town called
Pyro.
Thank you, where L&P was originally from, and I've got L&P next to me right here. It's like a chili and lime flavour, and an L&P milkshake, which was interesting. And how would you describe L&P to a listener who has no idea what L&P is?
I guess it's kind of like a slightly off-flavoured lemonade, really. When you pour it into a glass, you'll notice it's kind of like a dark yellow colour, like it's not really like a clear lemonade colour. And so it's just quite, I guess it's probably more subtle than, it's not super sweet, and it's kind of just more subtle, of like a lemonade kind of flavour. So it's called L&P, like lemon and pyro, which is where it came from. But what I learned today, which I didn't know, was that pyro had like a spring water there, which is why they used that water, because it was thought to be really good quality. So that's where the pyro name came from. It's now bottled in Auckland, which is our biggest city, and has been for kind of like 30 years.
It's interesting actually, because I had some L&P about it was last year actually, in Ross, going through the lolly shop there, and yeah, I did a video of it and basically ripped shit into it, and Nick wasn't too impressed, like, you're dossing our national drunk. But like today, this chili and lime one's better, and the milkshake actually wasn't too bad. It was, again, it's not that strong flavour, but
you finished it, so it can't be too bad.
I did finish it. It was good. But also the lollies that we're going to try at one point, what do they call, pineapple what now?
Pineapple lumps. So it's kind of like a chewy pineapple, almost like a nougat type of chewy thing covered in chocolate, yeah, which is pretty good.
So is that a New Zealand thing, they like pineapple, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure why we've singled out the pineapple, but yeah, it's just one of those things that we've always had, and it's pretty good.
And the ice cream that I'm going to be trying at some point, explain that one again, because that sounds really good.
Oh yeah, so we got the jelly tip ice cream, so we'll try that on the way home today, and that's just basically like a vanilla ice cream block covered in chocolate, but kind of like the top couple of inches of it is like frozen raspberry jelly, which is really nice. So
we'll do a video, and we'll put that in our YouTube collection that you can watch, of course, via our YouTube page. That's generally where you watch YouTube ones. Is there any other pressing? I mean, we had Fosh and Chops on a beach, which is very New Zealand, and we got a pack, like a $10 pack, and we got fish, potato, what were they called again? Fritters, thank you. I've really got a bad memory all of a sudden. So instead of potato cakes, potato fritters, and sausages, which they were just literally like sausages, which was very interesting. Any other New Zealand dishes that I'm not aware of that perhaps are out there to try?
Well, I guess we've got a hangi, which I won't make you try, which is kind of like a traditional kind of Māori food, which, you know, it's like pumpkin and meat and potatoes and stuff like that, and they normally put it with hot rocks and it like cooks in the ground. It's never been something I'm particularly fond of, to be honest. So I wouldn't put that upon you, but if we come across one over the next couple of days, then yeah, I'll make you have one.
A hangi, it sounds so appealing. Do you have damper over here?
No.
Do you know what damper is?
It's like a bread, eh? Like, wasn't that on Survivor?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it was on the Australian one when Colby in that winter. It's just like flour and water, and I think you do add something else to it. It's just like a traditional bushman's food, and you cook it over a campfire, and I mean, they do have fancy ones you get in like restaurants and shit, but like, we used to make damper when we went camping, and it's quite nice. You have Billy T over here, don't you?
Yeah, we do, yeah. Billy T's very different to us, though, because Billy T is our most famous comedian. Billy T. James, yeah.
Okay, right, there you go. Didn't know that. Learning a lot about here in New Zealand, but one thing actually that, which no doubt we'll put something in the YouTube clip at some point in Hamilton, where obviously I'm staying, where Nick lives, there is the tribute to Richard O'Brien, the creator of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, giant statue of him, and a mural that says how to do the time warp. I'm so tempted to go back to that spot and actually have you film me do the time warp.
I'll stand behind the camera and watch you make a fool of yourself. That's totally okay.
Oh, well, we're going to do that at one point, because I've got to come to New Zealand, the home of Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is something I don't think anybody ever probably realised, and do the time. I actually noticed on that wall it said you are on the time warp cam, so people online could be watching me do the time warp live.
Yeah, that was not something I actually realised, so that could be quite interesting.
Very much so. We're driving on a road here right now, which we just had to drive through a massive spray of water. Just for our listeners right now, where are we driving right now, Nick? Give us the tour guide of where we are right at this instant.
Okay, so we're driving right through the middle of the Coromandel Peninsula. So if people are looking at a map of New Zealand, they'll find Auckland pretty easily. And then just to the east of Auckland, there's this big peninsula which is called Coromandel, and it's kind of like a famous beach place. There's some really nice beaches here, and we were on the east coast of the Coromandel Peninsula this morning in Whangamata. We're now driving right through the middle of it, and we're going to come out at Thames on the other side, and we'll almost be able to see Auckland from Thames.
There you go. We can almost see Auckland from Thames. But this is the Brink in New Zealand, bringing you a couple of special episodes throughout the week and recording a lot and putting them together, and you could enjoy it and learn a little bit about this country, the land of the long white cloud. I've asked you that so many times about why that's called the land of the long white cloud, and I think each time I ever pulled you up on the spot in Survivor Oz, you didn't know. Have you learned why it's called the land of the long white cloud yet?
I think I've got some homework to do, by the sounds of it.
Yep. All right. We like to put Knock on the spot. But yeah, cruising, going, and this is the Brink in New Zealand. On the last episode of The Brink, we brought you a classic live performance from the show's history. That was, of course, the Wolf Brothers performing live on the program, celebrating their ARIA nomination. We liked that segment so much, we thought we'd bring it to you again and bring you another classic live performance this week from our very good friend Adam Cousens. Now, for those of you outside of Tasmania, you might not have heard of Adam. He's a local singer-songwriter who has done great guns across the state, taken his music nationally, released CDs, had his songs featured in several TV shows and other forms of media, and doing great guns out there in the world. Became a very good friend of ours on the program, was one of our most frequent guests in the 11-year history of The Brink, and he helped celebrate a big milestone for us back in 2011 when we celebrated our 300th episode, wrote us a song to celebrate the fact that we had reached 300 songs. So let's hear that right now. This is Adam Cousens. Meanwhile, I had him on the show enough, you think I know how to say his name. Adam Cousens performing Brink Radio live on The Brink back in 2011.
Here we go on tour again. Pack all the guitars in the van, overcoming odds that you wouldn't believe, with the beats and melodies hidden up our sleeves. 46 shows across 5 states, 22,000 Ks without touching the brakes, from Tassie up to Queensland and back again. And yes, the road is long, hard and cold, so thank you, Brink Radio. You always support us as we go. Now you've made 300 shows. Ben is the DJ on the dial, flicking switches, making miles. Thank you, Brink Radio. This is your 300th show. Hobart is where it all begins. It's a hometown we get treated like kings. A drummer has a new girlfriend every time we play here. He really needs to learn to share. Play the show with Donovan Frankenrider. How does it make you feel when he's singing beside you? Pretty relaxed. Let's get the van back on the boat to the mainland. And yes, the road is long, hard and cold. So thank you, Brink Radio. You always support us as we go. Now you've made 300 shows. Ben is a DJ on the dial, flicking switches, making miles. Thank you, Brink Radio. This is your 300th show.
For our first episode here in beautiful New Zealand, we do have to continue on with our regular segments, including this fantastically awesome segment that you are already getting to love in our third episode. Well, this is news, and we certainly love that introduction, and we also love the introduction because we have a special guest joining us this week for Wow, This is News. It is, of course, New Zealand's favourite podcast host, Mr. Nook Chester. Nook, you've already been heard throughout this episode. I don't know why I'm introducing you again, but you're the first time I've ever had a guest for this segment so far in the podcast series, so welcome.
I'm honoured, very honoured.
So you should be. Now, we're going to bring you sort of a New Zealand edition, so to speak. We've tried to hunt the internet for New Zealand-based weird news, and haven't really had that much of a success. So
there's no news in New Zealand, is that what you're
well, there is, but it's a bit slow here in New Zealand. Hence why the only one that I could find are the top 10 New Zealand odd stories of 2013. So, I mean, this is fairly new, right? I mean, New Zealand standards.
I guess so, yeah. Well, we use the abacus to tell the time and things like that, so yeah.
Well, I mean, it could have been worse. Could have been like 2003, but I'm sure you have heard these. Now, these are according to newshub.co.nz, a reputable source when it comes to New Zealand news.
Yeah, it's in, the top two, I would say, of three, so yeah.
Is that because there's only three in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Well, the introduction here reads, New Zealand can be a very strange place. Is it something in the water? The Hamilton City Council thinks so. Right where we're right here, you work for the Hamilton City Council, do you not?
Correct.
All right, so we'll be careful what we say here. Or perhaps it's the chemtrails, as infamously espoused by wannabe politician Colin Craig. Now, is there a story behind this? Do you know what this is talking about?
The chemtrails conspiracy that that the government's dropping chemicals on us from planes, and you sometimes see the clouds in the sky. Colin Craig is a slightly less likeable version of Donald Trump, I would say.
So New Zealand's Donald Trump?
It doesn't have nearly the charisma of Donald Trump.
Or the hair? Or
no, it doesn't have the hair either. No.
Doesn't great women in certain areas?
You might have to read the papers to find out about that.
Well, perhaps if I see a New Zealand paper, I will do exactly that. But, okay, so these are the stories from 2013. Pair charged after drunken pork chop fight. Now, I don't know if you might have heard of these news stories 3 years ago, not too sure. Two men wasted no time in booking their spot on this list. As the rest of us were pretending to know the words to Auld Lang Syne and making resolutions to never drink so much, we got into drunken pork chop fights with neighbours. Two drunks on the North Shore were doing just that. Now, The North Shore, that sounds like a sort of a proper area. Is that sort of like a nice part of New Zealand? Where's the North Shore?
It's in the north.
And there's a shore there?
There is also a shore. Yeah, it's in Auckland. Yeah.
All right, okay. So they were under the influence of alcohol, stumbled into a hungry neighbour's property, and they broke into a fight and struck each other in the eye with a pork chop. They were charged with disorderly behaviour, breaching bail, and appeared in the North Shore. I mean, this is 3 years ago. I'm sure they're probably in jail or dead. I don't really know. Is this a common New Zealand thing to fight with pork chops?
It's not one that I was aware of. You would assume it would probably be a lamb chop, but it is a pork chop.
Well, I mean, I was going to say that, but you made the joke, not me. Going through these, life's tough when you're living on the streets, particularly the hellish inner city streets of Invercargill. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, Invercargill. Yeah, close enough.
No, we're learning that I'm pronouncing these things terribly this week. So it shouldn't come as a surprise when a dog called Oscar turned to a life of crime, launching daylight robberies at a local dairy, caught on CCTV pinching a dog roll with street value up to $5. The best thing about this whole story, Oscar only had 3 legs. Is this a thing in New Zealand, dog crime? I mean, you're a dog owner, Nick. I mean, is this something that your dogs like to do?
I'd say it's probably a dumb shop owner more than anything else, letting a 3-legged dog get away with a dog roll every day.
There's something. There's a punchline in that somewhere. Not too sure what, but all right. New Zealand really had some funny news stories in 2013. Apparently, something about Darth Vader that doesn't really seem that funny. Port Wakato's mysterious appearing house in Auckland. The difficulty of acquiring a house is pitched somewhere between the Black Caps achieving a Test Series victory and the 12 Labours of Hercules. But in the Waikato, they pop up into existence like quantum particles, and the residents can't quite get enough. Just quickly, while I get more into this, has New Zealand won a Test Series since 2013?
I'm going to say yes. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to say yes. We've done pretty well the last couple of years.
All right. They're not winning against India right now.
No, well, we're not. We've lost already. We're done. We're done there as the time of recording.
I can't talk either Australia. I think just got thrashed by South Africa, but whatever. So apparently there was a house in somebody's front yard. Nobody knew where it was, and it suddenly appeared. So they've actually gone and written on this house, if this is your house, please remove it. Again, a New Zealand thing, houses just appearing out of nowhere?
Not that I was aware of, no. This is news to me as well.
Clearly, because 2013 news just travels really fast here in New Zealand. These aren't really that funny. New Zealand and funny, do they go well together, Nick? I mean, come on, this is meant to be entertaining. It's my fault. I didn't do the research, so I'm just blaming New Zealand. But, I mean, I need to go get that New Zealand joke book. So, people interested in a Rednecks franchise. So, Rednecks, of course, they did the 1995 hit Cotton Eye Joe, one of your favourite songs, I can imagine.
No.
Do you know the song we're talking about?
I know the song, yeah. I couldn't even pretend that I liked it.
Okay, so went to number 1 in New Zealand and 11 other countries, sold 4 million copies to date. They're a Swedish band, and a New Zealand franchise of the band has the rights to perform as Rednecks in New Zealand. The owner and head hillbilly Jason Beaumont suggested bringing the band to New Zealand when he met a member of the original band. So Jason said, I'll do this in my best New Zealand accent, I was talking to the curator of the actual band, Pete Renez, and he was talking about bringing the band here without the logistics of having to get everyone over here. At the time he was wanting to seal the band for a couple of $1 million, and that wasn't an option. So he said, how about having a Rednecks in New Zealand? While he might not have heard from them in a while, the Rednecks have remained a going concern since their heady days of the mid-90s, though the group history reads like that of a blah blah blah. This is really not that exciting. So basically a New Zealand person wants to create, well, did back in 2013, again, I'm sure this has happened already, a New Zealand version of Rednecks. Is this I'm intrigued, Nick. New Zealand, do they just like to get 90s bands and start their own versions?
No, I'm not quite sure where this is coming from too, but there is a few redneck areas in New Zealand, but so...
Really? Rednecks New Zealand, really?
Yeah, there could be, yeah, definitely.
Have we been to any of these places yet?
Maybe.
Right, okay. This one's funny. 64-year-old accidentally glues lips together. So in June, an elderly lady in Dunedin had glued her mouth shut while trying to treat a tingling cold sore. Undeterred, she rang 111, which, as I learnt yesterday, is the New Zealand emergency number. Glad I knew that, actually, because if I had hurt myself, I would have been ringing 000. So, anyway.
It worked anyway, though, because I think it's like, if you ring 911 here, it sends you through to 111 anyway. So.
Yeah, it does that in Australia too, actually. She used a series of grunts and taps to tell the operator where she was. How do you do that? How do you like
Morse code.
Morse code, right. Okay. Well, she's 64, so I guess they used that back then. I had to tap on the phone. 1 tap for no, 2 taps for yes, and then it took a long time to narrow down the streets and then the numbers too. Asked if she learned her lesson, she responded, mm-hmm. Wow, okay. Here's your man. Is this man we were talking about before, Colin Craig? For a man who's yet to win an election, Colin Craig created perhaps more buzz this year, 2013, than any other politician. But there's another type of buzz Craig won't want to attract. Aldrin, whose opinion of the moon landing skeptics can be summed up in one fist. He got punched in the face a few years ago. He didn't get punched. He punched a moon skeptic one. Craig later said in the media he had mischievously and inaccurately credited him with a belief in conspiracy theories. So basically what, Craig has believed in the conspiracy theories of the moon? Am I missing the point of this story, or do you know anything about this?
Yeah, no, he was a believer in the moon hoax theory, but he was also a believer in sending explicit text to his electoral manager and things like that too, which he shouldn't have been doing. So he's been a bit of a naughty boy all around, as well as a bit of a loony. So he's an interesting fellow, as Colin Craig.
I think we're just going to turn this segment into Colin Craig, because I've just googled him. He looks a bit strange. Founding leader of the Conservative Party of New Zealand, a millionaire who owns companies in high-rise buildings. He's against same-sex marriage, foreign ownership of land, and anti-smagging laws. So he basically wants to smack people, doesn't want gay people to get married, and doesn't want other countries owning land in New Zealand. And so he's never been elected, I'm guessing?
Definitely not.
Right, so, I mean, is he still around, or has he just gone into hiding since all of this?
No, there was a big scandal just after the election, and he had to resign from his own party, basically.
So, and this was the texting thing you were talking about, was it?
Yes.
Right, so I've just gone to votecolincraig.co.nz. Vote Colin Craig for people, not politics. Post-election news, completely empty. And if we click on his Twitter page, Colin Craig NZ, he last updated in March, and he only has 2001. This guy's actually kind of boring, but clearly you've got to be in New Zealand to understand the relevance of this bloke.
Yeah, he's a bit of a dirty old man, really, basically. He's like that dodgy uncle, that fills you up at Christmas dinner. He's
a good guy, my uncle, actually. You should meet him. Final one here. Man sells weed to pay for legal highs. An unemployed man from Nelson has admitted selling marijuana to fund his legal high habit. Mason Smith, 22, or as he's known in New Zealand, Mason Smith, was remanded in custody after failing to adhere to previous court orders, including breaking curfew and drinking alcohol. His lawyer, Brett Daniel Smith, said Smith was selling cannabis to get money for legal highs, and his offering was mostly limited to selling $20 tinnies, reports Nelson Mail. So basically, he's selling marijuana to get high, or I don't get this story. Do you get this story?
We had a bit of a thing with legal highs a couple of years ago, where we were selling kind of fake marijuana that was sending people a bit crazy.
Right.
And because it was legal, people were able to do it. Yeah.
So he was selling real weed to buy fake weed.
It looks that way, yeah.
So fake. What is fake weed exactly? Like weed that is manufactured to give you the same high, but it doesn't, or it does?
It's kind of like, well, it's not weed, but it's kind of plants, and they spray it with chemicals and then dry it, and then people smoke it. And it had never really been tested, and so people were getting pretty wasted on it, and it was giving them all sorts of hallucinogenic, crazy spells. And the government thought it would be a good idea to make it legal, and of course that backfired pretty badly.
So essentially, they've created a fake marijuana that is worse than the real marijuana, but it's legal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is it still legal?
No.
Okay, so what about real marijuana?
That's still illegal as well.
Okay, all right. Just checking my laws here in New Zealand, just in case, I happen to get some wacky tobacco or something along those lines. Very uninteresting segment of Wow, This Is News, New Zealand edition. But
Peaked with the pork chops.
I really did. Like, I peaked too early, and then, again, you'd think I'd learn to read these before I actually talk about them on air, would you? I did use Hosey's show for 11 years, and I still never did that back then, so...
Well, it depends on how important you think research is, and we're starting to find out that you don't think it's that important.
Well, clearly, research, not important at all. And this is the Brink, and I don't even know the meaning of the word research. Anyway, let's wrap it up. That's Wow, This Is News. We'll have more of that for you on episode 4, probably, which will still be here in New Zealand, and perhaps Nick will help me with this little word called research when we actually learn what it is.
You can move on to top stories of 2014 by then.
Hopefully they will be on the internet. Hopefully New Zealand News Hub will actually fix that by then. We'll soon find out next episode. G'day.
Good day, mate.
We are sitting here with the wonderful Cat Jessie.
Cat Jessie.
Most well known for us as Survivor Oz listeners from The Amazing Race Season 3 Australia, and for our New Zealand viewers from New Zealand Idol Season 2.
Yeah, long time ago.
Season 2. I love New Zealand Idol.
You never watched it.
You were robbed. Should have been.
He's right. He's right.
Like,
I want justice.
But here in Hamilton, clearly Hamilton's #1 celebrity.
Clearly. How a couple.
I discovered Richard O'Brien is from Hamilton, but Stuff Rocky Horror Picture Show.
My uncle. Yeah. He's my uncle. I'm Jessie O'Brien.
Jessie, hey, there you go. Is that just a very Hamilton?
He's not my uncle.
Do the time warp. Do the time warp right now.
It's just a step to the out of frame.
But we've come here to the Good George, which again is a very long-running joke on Survivor Oz. And we've enjoyed beer. You've enjoyed my nuts.
That was so tasty.
They were good. I'm so glad you let him have my nuts. This is fun. This has been good. This is awesome. How often do you get amazing race requests like we're sitting there?
Not often at all. Pretty much, this is the highlight of 2016. So
you'd be like sitting on the couch, like, oh, no one recognises me. I'm not famous. Why can't some random Australian come to?
Not even just Australian, Tasmanian.
Yes. See, I can't even get away with bagging the accents out anymore. As soon as I'm like, Kit and Jessie are here. It's top choice poo. Tasmania. It's my second head. You guys haven't been to Tasmania, right?
No, I don't plan on it.
Yeah, I didn't plan on coming.
Is it not still in quarantine?
Yes. Yeah, we don't let New Zealanders in. We're smart. We keep the rabble out. Like, what are you guys up to now anyway? Like since the race, since all that.
Yeah, we are busy with our kids. Our kids are growing up. Our kids are growing up really fast. 16, nearly.
Hello.
16. Nearly 13 and 10, and then we've got a little foster bubby and a puppy.
Wow.
So that takes a lot of our time.
Very busy.
And then still playing music. Yeah, I am. Not you so much.
No.
You haven't started the music yet?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah.
Cat's very busy with the foster bubby.
Yes, family. All very important. Well, that's great. Yeah, good.
Yes.
And no plans to go back on any other reality shows?
Oh, well, we're thinking of making our own.
Enough with the O'Brien.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I can barely keep up.
Yeah.
well, as long as you don't get kidnapped in Paris, then,
or anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you can another place, Tasmania.
We haven't gone there.
Why not? But we've enjoyed our evening tonight. Good George Brewing. And you used to play here.
I have played here before, yes.
Yes. Do you want to give us a song? Everyone right now? No?
No.
Yeah, sing us a song, Jess.
Sing us a song, Jess. Something in Portuguese, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, too soon.
Do you remember it?
Seco, me vento.
Well done.
That's all I remember.
I feel like before we go, you need to do I'm ripping shot into your accent. Give us an Aussie accent.
I'm ripping shot into your... Oh, do an Aussie one?
Yeah. Aussie.
Oh, I'm terrible at Aussie. Gee, thinking, mate, put another piece of kangaroo on me barbecue.
That's not bad. It's terrible. Can you do? No. Grant. It's been fun. We've learned a lot. Kit and Jessie, this is great. Thanks guys for joining us. And next time you're in Tassie, we won't let you in. One of our most popular segments so far on The Brink since we've rebooted it is this next one.
This is like a flashback. This is like a dream.
Yes, we're going for a flashback, back in time to relive classic memories of The Brink, which is kind of funny because we still sort of do that even throughout the show, but hey, whatever, this is our segment, we'll do it whatever we like with it. So we're going back to the year 2012. Now we thought, given that we're in New Zealand, it's important to maybe celebrate our rich history of talking about New Zealanders. And back in 2012, during our special London Olympics broadcast, of course, where we jetted off to London and broadcast from the Olympics, at least we said we did anyway. And of course, during those broadcasts, we would get several, quote, athletes on the shows. Athletes who had won medals, athletes who had done well at the Olympics, and athletes who we just wanted to talk to. One of those athletes happened to be a New Zealander, so let's go back to 2012 and hear a conversation with a New Zealander.
Charlie, what's going on next to you there?
I just don't know, because I think everyone's just become a bit overwhelmed because a New Zealander is in the studio. And, you know, there's a bit of rival. We've got a British, Australian and New Zealander.
Yeah.
This is in the Commonwealth.
It's a bit tense. We are joined in the studio right now, Andrew Nicholson, who was part of New Zealand's team that won bronze in the team eventing in the equestrian. Andrew, pleasure to have you on the show. Yes, hello, Ben. Yes, hello, Tali. Hello, Com. And hello, is it Jimma? Is it Jimma? Is that your name, Jimma?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I was a bit embarrassed there. I thought I wouldn't get on. My accent went a little bit funny there. Yes, hello, thank you. It's great to be here on the Brink. I'm a big fan of the Brink radio in general. I just like to eat packets of chips while listening to the radio. And yes, I'm very honoured to be on your little show.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Tali. I enjoy being in here in such esteemed company. I will say, though, I'm very disappointed, actually. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because Australia's beating New Zealand in the medal tally at the moment.
Oh,
yes.
Well, you know what's well out of order? The British are totally dominating.
Oh, thank you, Gemma, for chiming in there. That was good. Well, you're well, I can't swear on this time. You're pooping over everybody else at the moment.
Yeah, we are.
We're
like well good because like the Queen is our like monarch.
Well, she is. She's New Zealand's monarch too, isn't she?
I know, and she's Australians too. So I really feel that she's bringing everyone together.
Well, she looked a bit bored in the opening ceremony though. She was tweeting, I believe. She was on Twitter.
Twitter.
You like using Twitter? You're laughing at my accent, are you, Com?
Never.
Com doesn't use Twitter. Are you a twit?
No.
You like using Twitter?
Out of order, Kim. Everyone's on Twitter.
You want to know how many tweets I do a day? 6.
Ton.
I do 6 tweets a day on Twitter. I love Twitter. It's better than Facebook.
I just feel you love saying it right now.
Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to follow me on Twitter?
What sport do you play?
I'm equestrian.
Oh, on the horses.
I ride horses. My name of my horses are called Nerio.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's right. You won a silver, did you? A silver medal?
I did, in the judo.
I've never heard of that sport. What do you do in that one?
You like wrestle?
Oh, wrestle.
It's very complicated.
Oh, yeah, so's riding
I
a
don't think
horse.
you'd understand it.
No, in New Zealand, we've got at least only 7 sports we're allowed to compete in. That's why we only win 3 gold medals.
Oh.
Yes.
Does your horse win a medal too?
It does, yes. It's made out of carrots.
Oh.
Yes, so it can eat it.
Did you meet Princess Anne?
Oh, Princess Anne, yes.
She's been giving out the medals. She's such a wonderful sod.
She's your sister, isn't she?
No.
Your sister on Twitter. Your Twitter sister. Your Twitter sister that tweets 6 times a day with biscuits.
It's really funny how we've just totally taken over the interview.
Yeah, well, I'll just step in there for the moment. Thank you, Gemma and Andrew. It's Kim, I know it's interesting for you to meet these Olympic athletes because I know here in London you thought you wouldn't meet any. But we've got a bronze and a silver medal. Would you like to wear their medals?
No.
Okay.
It's not gold, it's not good enough.
What you're saying is it, Com? That if it's not gold, you don't want to wear it?
That's like well out of order. I've trained really hard for my medal.
Did you know winning bronze in New Zealand is like Australia winning gold in something? Did you know that?
No.
You know, that's like China. Well, China doesn't really matter. They just, if they don't win gold, it's a bug doll.
I won silver.
You
I
did
did
with
in
silver.
Australia.
You're
welcome.
It's funny. I like your humour. Let's big out Australia. And the hoppity hop kangaroos. You know?
Shrimp on the Barbie.
Shrimp on the Barbie.
Oh, what's
Wait.
that?
You know.
Settle both.
Oh, come get on Twitter, would you? Get on Twitter with your Twitter sister.
You're just jealous because I'm a convict. You're a convict.
Oh, that's a bit
That's what I
racist,
do.
bordering on racism, Tali.
That's well out of order.
What are you going to say about New Zealanders next, okay? We're convicts too, aren't we? I actually don't know the history of New Zealand, so I don't know how it started. Apologies to New Zealanders, my own country.
Was it like Captain Cook?
Yes, Captain Cook. Captain Cook used Twitter. You know what he said? He's like, I'm on a shop, lol. That's what he literally said.
I'm on a boat.
But he's on a shop. It's a shop, not a boat. It's called a shop back in the 1700s or the 16th century.
It's such a history lesson we're getting right now.
I know. Well, aren't the Olympics great? Don't you love the Olympics?
Bringing people together.
I know. You can't do that anymore.
So, just a quick question. How long did you, have you been a horse rider?
About 6 years and 6 months and 6 days. It's exactly 666 right now.
So that's
it's the
the medal.
anniversary. Yes. I didn't win a medal in where was the last Beijing? Did that sound right, Beijing? I didn't win a medal in Beijing. New Zealand didn't win a medal. We didn't exist back then.
That's really sad to hear that.
How did Britain go?
We dominated. You know, obviously you've got America and they're doing things, but you know, now that we've got the games in our country, I just really feel that we've done really well.
I'd like to say, Gemma, that you've gone from speaking Cockney accent really well to all of a sudden just speaking normally. What happened there?
You know, people want, I can do the Mae West and I can do the Jack and Jill, but Richard the Third and Laugh and Tedder, everyone understands.
Did you say Totter? Did you just say Totter on radio?
Yeah.
Totter?
Yeah.
Twitter on Twitter?
It's like a can of oil.
Aren't the Olympics great though? Wasn't it? Just really. Let's just
classy.
sit back and revel in the Olympics. I love the Olympics.
Ravel.
They're not disappointing at all.
They really haven't been built up at all.
I think that I think Andrew's just being a bit silly and trying to just sound very New Zealand today, which, you know, he's making a mockery out of their accent, really.
Mockery.
Are you saying that my accent's fake, Ben? Ben and Kim, what sort of names are those, eh? You know, I'm gonna go dream of silver in Rio de Janeiro.
I've already got silver.
I know, but I'm gonna win silver. You know when the last time New Zealand won a silver was? I don't even know because I don't even.
A few days ago,
probably
would be my guess.
not as many as Australia has won. Oh yeah, I went there. Yes, I'm gonna go eat some biscuits and some chips. Ta-ta. All right, Andrew. I don't know what's going on in this show today, Tali.
I have no idea. Gemma's gone to go get a cup of tea.
I know. Kim, are you glad you come on this show today?
I wish I was still in bed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about you, but I've got a feeling that guy wasn't real. I've just kind of got an inkling or an onkling that there was a bit of an impersonation going on there. Not too sure. Good to hear my mum in the studio. Actually, completely forgot that she was in London with us for several of those broadcasts. And yes, there we go. Classic memories from the Brink. And no doubt we will find another one for you in our next episode here from New Zealand. We'll try and find another New Zealand memory because you know that we've spent plenty of time over the 11 years bagging the crap out of New Zealanders. Had a very enjoyable third episode of the Brink reboot here from beautiful New Zealand, and the first of 2 episodes we will bring you from New Zealand, as personally I'm here for another few more days, so we thought we would bring you lots of coverage from this beautiful country to the right-hand side of our even more beautiful country. But still here with Nook. Nook, hello, still.
Hello, yes, I'm still here.
Yes, that was his actual accent. He wasn't putting it on like I was. But we thought we'd end today's episode by going back over some favourite New Zealand jokes about Australians by Katrina Power. Now, we went over some of these earlier in the episode, and they weren't. No, discovered that apparently we're dumb, and of course heard from Cat and Jessie before, and even we were talking to them last night, and even they were surprised that apparently this stereotype comes down to the fact that we're dumb.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's read some of these jokes. What does the Loch Ness Monster have in common with an intelligent, sensitive Aussie?
Yeah. They don't exist?
Pretty much. Some people believe they exist, but no one's actually seen either.
Yes.
That's funny, right?
Yeah, well, I saw the punchline coming.
Yep, right. Once you read a few of these, you kind of know where they're going. Well, like this one. Why won't an Aussie drive a BMW?
No, pass.
He can't spell it.
Yep.
See? Hilarious. Bruce was approached by Jehovah's Witnesses, but didn't want anything to do with them. He couldn't. He hadn't even seen the accident. Because they're witnesses, is that? No, alright. Either these jokes are really bad, or New Zealand humour is really bad.
I think you need to go and ask for your $16.66 back.
Yes, I do. Yeah, okay. I swear we read some of those ones. I don't want to read these long ones because, I mean, these are disappointing enough for these short ones and they're not even funny. The great Aussie game hunter was stalking the jungles of Africa, looking for lions and tigers to shoot, when he stumbled across a beautiful woman lying naked in a clearing. "Wow," he said, "are you game?" She gave a seductive smile and said, "Why, yes, I am." So he shot her. I keep putting the microphone over to Nick to get a reaction. He just has his look on his face.
Yeah, it's just like, just glassy-eyed, like, yeah.
Yep. All right. The only way most Aussies would end up having 500 men under them is if they worked in a cemetery. I don't even get that one. Like,
500 men under them?
is that meant to be like in reference to the head of a company or something, or like a gay orgy? Like what?
Yeah, that one just doesn't work either.
This one, which we said off air, why do birds fly upside down over Australia? It's not worth shitting on. What's the worst thing about Australia?
It's a long way to fly, needing to shit and not shitting just because it's a really long way to go.
It's a big country, guys. What is the worst thing about Australia? It's above sea level. Why can't you give an Aussie more than 10 minutes for lunch? If you did, you'd have to retrain him. I don't even know if that makes sense. Like, what?
The suggestion that they'll forget how to do their job if they're off it for more than 10 minutes.
Right, okay. What should you do if an Aussie throws a grenade at you? Pull the
pin and throw it back.
Yep, right, see, you knew that one.
This has almost turned into like a quiz show rather than reading jokes, isn't it?
It is. The Aussies have invented a new type of parachute. It opens on impact. What? Seriously, Bruce. Of course, all Australians called Bruce. Yeah. Bruce. We've got some dogs in the background too, by the way, folks. This is our audience for the end of this episode. Bruce gave up tap dancing because he kept falling into the sink because he's the tap.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I don't think a couple more. I think people are dying for the end of this episode if we keep doing these. Bruce went into the bank to withdraw a large sum of money. "Can you identify yourself?" asked the teller. Bruce pulled a mirror from his pocket, peered into it and said, "Yep, that's me, all right."
Yeah.
Okay.
It's getting more obvious as we go along.
Do you know how many people work in the Australian Parliament? About half of them. Yep. This is terrible. Who is this woman? Katrina Power? Is she like a famous New Zealand joke teller?
She shouldn't be.
Yeah, well, exactly. What's the difference between an Australian and a computer? You only have to punch in information into a computer once.
I was going for something along the lines of, that's actually quite funny, that one. Yeah, punched it, yeah. I was going to go something along the lines of turning it on and getting turned on, but let's not go down that road.
Yep. Yeah, like, again, we said at the beginning of this episode that we would go through and research these, and clearly that worked. What's the difference between an Australian and a Neanderthal?
The Neanderthals got a better language or something?
The Aussies didn't have the ambition to evolve that far.
That's quite good.
Yeah, all right, let's one more. Let's find a...
You've got one laugh out of me so far, Katrina.
One laugh. All right, let's get a semi-ish long one. This is to end it. Okay. Bruce. Here, Bruce again. Good old Bruce.
What's Bruce ever done to anybody?
Oh, he's Australian. Bruce picks up a case of 4X gold and puts it in the supermarket trolley. "What do you think you're doing?" asked Sheila. Good, Bruce and Sheila, very famous Australian couple. "They're on sale. Only $15 for 24 cans, he replies. "Put them back. It's a waste of money," snaps Sheila, and they carry on shopping. A few aisles further along, Sheila picks up a $30 jar of face cream and puts it in the basket. "What's that?" asked Bruce. "It's my face cream. It makes me look beautiful," replies Sheila. Bruce snorts. "So do 24 cans of 4X gold, and it's only half the price." Now that's funny.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, sexist.
You got a bit of a laugh out of there, Katrina. Look, we will find some more perhaps for the next episode just to save face. So, yeah, thanks, Katrina. And thank you, Nick, for joining us for this third episode of The Brink. And we'll, as again, do another one for soon. And you've got some interesting things to do with New Zealand, I think, planned for the next episode. So we'll be looking forward to that at least.
Sure. Yep. I'll come up with something.
You will. Indeed you will. But for everybody listening, as always, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Brink Radio Show to stay up to date basically with everything on there. Our YouTube channel still cooking. We obviously had our first video up there to do with the grand final weekend, and you will soon see one to do with our week and a bit here in New Zealand with little adventures across the way. Easiest way to get these episodes, of course, is to subscribe directly to us on iTunes. Search for The Brink in your search bar, or of course you can find us on other podcast platforms. Wooshka is our server, and you can find them directly there and copy the link that you'll find on our Facebook page into your podcast server. And again, if you also would like to follow my personal adventures, you can do so by going to BenJam International at .wordpress.com. If I actually knew the address of where on earth I post blogs, that might also help. So again, thank you for tuning into The Brink for our third episode. We will be back for our fourth episode, coming to you direct from New Zealand. In the meantime, keep sucking these oranges, brew, and good night.